Je vais parler d'abord en anglais, mais je peux répondre à des questions et en français et en anglais. Donc, c'est votre choix. What I would like to do first of all is I want to read a little bit, as authors often do, offer a little reading from the first chapter of the book to introduce you to the story. Because my presentation tonight is really two stories, in a way, three. It's the story of the murder of a woman named Laetitia Toureaux, who was an Italian immigrant. Her family name was Lurisat, who came to Italy as a teenager and was murdered in one of the most famous, what is known as a locked room mystery in Paris. And the second story is the story of why she was killed. And the third story is the story of I and my closest friend from graduate school. We met in 1981, and we were together in France in 1997 when we stumbled across this story. And it fascinated us so much that we had to get to the bottom of it, even though it was completely outside of the academic fields that either of us pursued. And our efforts to get to the bottom of that story are in and of themselves something of a locked room mystery, or at least a locked cabinet mystery. Okay, so to help you to understand why this story fascinated us so much, we open our book with that story, so I'm going to open with that tonight. So it's from chapter 1, Le Crime du Métro, a perfect crime. On Sunday, May 16, 1937, a striking 29-year-old woman, elegantly dressed in a tightly fitted green suit that her mother had made for her just weeks before, walked out of a Paris dance hall, or bal musette, called L'Ermitage. The squeals of accordion music and the murmur of laughter and conversation escorted her into the street that day. She was familiar to many of the passers-by because she was a regular client of L'Ermitage, one of the largest dance establishments in the city that catered to the working classes and accommodated over 800 clients on this particular Sunday afternoon. The heavy wooden door, known to regulars as Le Tambour, slammed behind her. It was a hot, cloying afternoon, early for summer weather in Paris, and it was just beginning to rain. L'Ermitage was located at 13 Rue des Deux Moulins, in a blue-collar neighborhood of Paris on the banks of the Marne, a feeder river into the Seine, and in many ways its poorer, scruffier cousin. The woman wore a smart white hat with matching purse and gloves, and a fur stole draped over her shoulders, and she carried a matching parasol. Widowed for over 2 years, she still wore her wedding band engraved J.T. L.N. February 9, 1929. She was in a hurry and glanced at her watch. It was 6 p.m. on the dot. Descending the steps, she quickly walked along a sidewalk next to a gray stone garden wall. The wall was low, and an iron fence stood atop it. Chestnut trees, so huge that they looked like they had been there for hundreds of years, grew just inside the wall. Yellow light bulbs that buzzed and glowed from their strings clumsily festooned the branches of the trees, as close to a romantic atmosphere as the soldiers, factory workers, and laborers who comprised its usual clientele were likely to get. Laetitia Toureaux, for that was her real name, although her friends knew her as Yolande, loved to dance. She had danced away this particular Sunday afternoon with her younger brother Riton and his friend Maurice Kagan. They had sipped on Pernod and listened to Jean Salimbeni play his accordion with the band. Salimbeni had been a friend for many years, a fellow Italian immigrant whom Toureaux had engaged to teach riton, the accordion. Salimbeni was known to the Paris police as well. He was a talented musician, but he could not keep a job and was frequently picked up for vagrancy. Train number AB 356 arrived at the Porte d'Oreille. At this point, witnesses' recollections of what happened next begin to conflict. Raymond Bruel and André Lejeune, two passengers traveling in a second-class car, told police that they heard a cry from elsewhere on the train just before it screeched to a stop. When the doors opened, they leapt out and ran to the source of the sound, the first-class car. On its floor lay a young woman in green, her lips moving, forming words only she could hear. The handle of a knife protruded from her neck. That's how we open the story.